Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town. All right, Tyler Gould, 100 episodes behind us. We are on to episode 101 of the richest men in town. How are you?
I'm good, man. I feel like we're on this moving train. We passed this beautiful vista of 100, and we're on to the next, right?
Yeah, we take a second, right? We take a second. We recognize the milestone, and it's on, right? Because I remember when we got this party started, and we were envious of podcasts that we love and listen to that are into the episode 600. It's like, well, let's go. We're just getting started.
Just getting started, man.
So talk to us tonight about what's sticking in your brain after our time with Jonas Stotts.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun tonight to talk to Jonas, and I've known him for a long time, but he's a guy that's gone through some stuff in his life, and he has put in a ton of work to get himself to a place where he is comfortable, where he feels like he's progressing and he's starting to love some of the things about himself even. And I loved that idea tonight of you and I talk a lot about making changes and progression, but I think Jonas really helped to paint a picture of the work that goes into making those changes.
Yeah. And hey, can we highlight that, right?
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that we understand, and this isn't like cooking on TV or some murder mystery that's solved in an hour. The things that Jonas celebrates here is he's on a mountain summit that he's climbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if folks are listening and they're relating to some of his struggles, just please understand that it does require some work. And, and we just want to make sure too, that if people are struggling and they are in a place where, they've got some depression and anxiety, this episode really does highlight the benefit and the value of therapy.
Yeah.
Reaching out and getting that help, talking to family, talking to loved ones, talking to friends, talk to somebody, because you're not alone. Jonas teaches us that hands down tonight. You're not alone in the struggle.
And I think too, Mike, important to highlight as well. This was a conversation that you and I had with Jonas off the air, but we talked about during the show. We talked a little bit about what someone can do if they are feeling down, right? But off the air, Jonas said, I want to make sure that we highlight the point that if they're feeling in a really dark place, if someone's feeling that way, reach out to someone, right? Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell somebody. And I think that's important too. Yeah,
it's just kind of cool. I mean, we do this to people we love, right? We say, hey, jump into this new forum. It's a podcast. People have never been on the podcast before. They're humbled and they're like, I'm not even sure what this is going to be. I'm nervous. And then you crush it, right?
Yeah, right.
And we see this week after week, but Jonas, man, the way Jonas shows up, and really that is so much of life. We talk about these major changes. Major changes is about showing up. And I love this idea of comeback. That's kind of a mantra I'm on right now. The idea of like, I'm down, but I'm not out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the right people are going to come in my life, and I'm going to be different. Right. And I'm going to take the thing that is driving me crazy about me, and I'm going to turn it into something magical. I'm going to turn it into something powerful. And that's actually going to be the thing that helps me with my comeback.
Yeah. And I love that you highlight that, Mike, because, Jonas talks really specifically about some things that he didn't like that have become strengths for him. And, I think we highlight this in the episode, but Jonas is changing lives in his work, and he's helping people overcome some things and get to better places in his work. And he's using those things that he thought were weaknesses that are now strengths to help change other people's lives.
Oh, you want to talk about impact?
Yeah.
You want to talk about impact? Jonas rolls out of bed and impacts kids, impacts families, and makes a tremendous difference. And, really, I mean, in the end, we do kind of want to do that, right?
Yeah,
we want to be there for people. If we've got a skill, if we've got a gift, and we can step into that space and be there for people to lighten their burdens. And Jonas is doing it. And it sounds like Victoria's doing it too. I mean, they're a powerhouse couple. So
yeah.
Can't get enough of Jonas Stotts. Literally a guy that a couple of hours ago I had heard stories about, right?
Yeah.
And here we are, and I'm all about it. I'm president of his fan club. We're going to drop some resources. So folks, because we do kind of get into a music thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a little stretch where we geek out a little bit about some music.
We do. And look, Jonas, one of the many talents that he has, he's a creative guy, and he is passionate about music, and he writes and composes music, and we'll include a few links so people can download some of his stuff and get a taste of what Jonas is doing.
Jonas would not be doing what he's doing today if it wasn't for a third grade teacher and a cassette tape.
Oh, yeah. How cool is that? A couple cool moments. I really loved the time, and I thought, I know that Jonas will tell you how nervous he was, and I just thought it was there was some lessons to be learned, and I'm grateful that I was able to be part of that.
And our listeners are going to feel the energy.
Oh, 100%.
They're going to feel the energy, right? I mean, they didn't have the experience we had with the visual and interacting with them, but Jonas is a powerhouse of energy. And it's heading in places where he's passionate about, and you can feel it coming through. And so our listeners are going to dig him. I dig him. Thank you so much to Tyler for introducing me to Jonas. Jonas, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate your vulnerability, letting us in. It's not easy to, talk about growing up sometimes. It's not easy about talking about some of the things that life's taught us to those lessons that we've learned the hard way. It's not easy being different, right?
Yeah.
Be real, but man, when that difference taps into something that becomes a superpower in our lives, that's when we just got to say, get on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Jump in and teach us some things. So Jonas, thank you for the things that you taught me. I'm going to take it, right? And I'm going to go express my creativity in some way that might have an impact on others. So to our listeners, thank you for supporting us for the first 100. It's on to the next. So to Jonas Stotts, we appreciate you. To the family, thank you for loaning him to us for a couple of hours. And we really, really hope that our listeners and the whole world enjoys episode 101 with Jonas Stotts on The Richest Men in Town. Okay, so I texted you earlier what's on my mind, right? Momentum, coming off of General Conference, President Russell M. Nelson, spiritual momentum. But I've been talking to you about momentum, right? And thinking about, I think I've even mentioned in prior episodes, like there's a PhD out there on a couple of things sports related. The psychology behind the second shot, right? The mulligan psychology. Why did I chunk it on the first shot, and then when I don't care and I just throw another ball down, I hit a beautiful shot? That's interesting. And then this idea of comeback. Yeah. Tiger Woods 1 under today.
Do people? I was watching all these clips of people like hating on him and saying that he's done, he's over. Is he ever? Like he won the Masters 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop giving up already. But I agree. I love the idea of. I just love like the idea of someone going out there and being able to kind of silence in their head all of the voices and just be their best. That's such a cool thing to watch.
And when does GOAT mean GOAT? You know what I mean? Like, if you are the greatest of all time, is it really even a comeback? Like, am I giving him too much credit when it's like, look, I'm the greatest? When Jordan comes back, right, from his baseball hiatus.
But, I guess there could be an argument on Tiger Woods that he's not the GOAT, right? Because Jack's got more, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess that could be the argument. It's different. It's sort of like the who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron.
Yeah,
it's like you got that right. It's the eras thing, but I don't know, man.
Well, hey, so I would love to have a little spin-off podcast episode where we just talk sports. And if I threw comeback out at you, what comes to your mind when you think of sports and comebacks, right?
I mean, yeah,
That would be
that'd be a great conversation, man.
My Cubs down 3-1, 3-1 to the Indians.
Yeah, and of course you can't have this conversation without talking about the Red Sox and the Yankees, right?
Come on, down 3-0.
Yeah, I mean that's that kind
huge.
of stuff is crazy. And then there's like the personal kind of stuff. Like, I mean, obviously I'm a Dodger fan, so when I was a kid, Kirk Gibson limping out of the dugout,
come on,
hitting a home run, right? Like that kind of stuff is like, how many times?
That's just not you. That's iconic.
It's iconic. I mean, how many times as a kid did you in your backyard try to recreate that moment? Right? It's like,
with the fist and the
yeah, yeah. So I love those kind of things, and
shout out, hey, Patriots down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, right? I mean,
right. It's not my favorite topic.
It's not my favorite. Cleveland Cavaliers down 3-1, down 3-1, coming back and beating the Warriors, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool stories, but yeah, the Tiger Woods thing's fun to watch.
Just fun. Just fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I just think the idea of even just coming back, we've had guests on the show, my setback set up my comeback, Voigtlander. And I think that there's these moments where you realize, wait, I got an ember still. Right. I got an ember. I got a flicker. So you're saying there's a chance I'm going to come back and smoke you. Right. Like, don't count me out.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Mike, if, because as you're talking about Dave Voigtlander, who we both love, and I loved that episode talking about his comeback. But, there's, as you were saying that, there was other guests that have come to my mind that haven't been back on, that have had some pretty crazy comebacks. Right. That will be joining us at some point, but
they're coming back.
But I'm just curious, like if we kind of sat and took inventory of our own experiences, are there those moments that we would consider a comeback? I think someone like Dave and some of our other guests have some pretty dramatic stories to tell in that regard, but I think that we're all capable of those things. I think that maybe it's not as monumental as what some of our guests have gone through, but I think that if we all kind of sat back and took inventory, we could probably identify a few points where we said, you know what, I rebounded pretty good on that thing,
Well, and there's something spiritual about that story, right? I think that in our DNA code, in our spiritual DNA, we love that comeback story, right? There's a reason why Cinderella Man touches us, right? And Seabiscuit touches us. And it's like, because, we've been down.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. We can identify on some level, right?
Yeah. And it's almost like, we've had episodes and guests where it's like, can you stand up in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Can you stand up in the middle of it and say, I am not letting this beat me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I love it because, and it's funny that you kind of, you've sent me your thoughts about comebacks, and I was, I just got a text today from someone who's had to make some changes, who has a goal right now to serve a mission and but has some things to overcome, and just sent me a pretty excited text about some of the things that she's been accomplishing, that she's been working on. And it's exciting, right? Because that's a comeback, right? And I think that we keep that
that's like Alma 36, right? When Alma's talking to his son Elam, and it's like, look, there was no more low than I was at.
Yeah, 100%.
And literally 3 verses later, he grabs onto a thought.
I love that.
I thought about my dad talking about one Jesus Christ who would come and atone for the sins of the world. And I cried out, oh, Jesus, have mercy on you, right? Thou Son of God, have mercy on me.
Yeah.
I'm in the gall of bitterness. And boom, instantly I could remember my pains no more. And as bad as those were, the joy was on the other end, you know?
Yeah. I love the juxtaposition of those two thoughts, right? I mean,
dig it. So on a totally non-spiritual level, but we are talking about big changes, I need to let you know something, Tyler Gould.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this. What we got?
So I've hinted at this before, but the stupidest thing right now that I am doing in my life is I am driving an SUV, pulling up to a gas station, And literally, I pulled out my phone the other day and recorded the dollars, right?
This episode is brought to us by my company Gas Card.
Guess what?
Yeah.
E-bike.
Oh, did you bike to work today?
Not yet. It's in a box. It just showed up.
Oh, man.
This episode is brought to you by the KBO Breeze e-bike. Pedal assist. I'm hoping it's going to weigh assist. You know what I'm saying?
I'm writing a note here because I want to see what this bike looks like.
A little commuter bike with a rack, tail rack, not the saddlebags. I need to get the saddlebags, honestly. But,
All right, dude. I'm excited. And
because we're talking about major changes, Tyler. Major changes to me equals a redefining, reimagining. And I love I love your example there about your friend, because change without goal.
Yeah.
Change without a picture of what the new could look like.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time, right?
For sure.
Imagine it in your mind. Even use your senses. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like if I'm going to be this other person, right? If I'm going to make this change. So,
yeah,
maybe, hold on. Let's be real. The e-bike is going to come in much more handy, maybe after an office location change that I'm considering. So,
okay.
We bring it in a little closer, and now that e-bike makes a little more sense. But, I'm not going to be like going to Costco and coming back with 4 grocery bags on my e-bike.
I think that's not a bad idea, though. I like the vision of that, like you with the helmet, kind of sweating it out with the. I like it, man. No, that's cool. That's exciting.
Hey, there's no sweating it out because I'm talking pedal assist. I am a little concerned because their product review, all 5 stars raving, but their product videos show people pedaling.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
No. I wanted to assist you by sitting on the bike and it doing the work.
Basically, I want a moped, but call it a bike.
Oh man, moped. Those should be making a comeback. It's kind of funny though, because like in 2000 and I think it was 2008, right? Last time we had this big sort of economic calamities going on, right? And at that time, gas was like, I don't know, it got up to like 4 something a gallon. And I had a big truck during that time. I sold that truck because I was like, this is crazy. Got rid of that. And I knew a lot of people that went out and bought scooters because they're like, I'm going to get a scooter because gas is so expensive. And now we're like $6 a gallon. And people are like, I'm getting an e-bike, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, rich people are saying I'm going to get a Tesla. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting an e-bike.
Yeah, well,
by the way, the other day, Uber driver in a Tesla, man, we're talking like 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds.
Yeah, they're pretty swift, man.
They're pretty swift.
Yeah. I like it, man.
Yeah, I just keep telling Kelly, there's a waiting list on those things. E-bike, let's get that in 3 days. I'll be rolling.
You can get a banana seat and you and Kelly can, cruise together.
Well, they have these step-through seats.
Okay.
It's almost like for the old guys that can't get into the bathtub where they got the door, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's interesting about this, Mike, is that the other day you brought up this
I didn't get the step-through seat, though.
Okay. You brought up this walk-in tub. And I don't know if it's like this, like, I'm not sure what's happening, but my email inbox has been inundated with walk-in tub. And like, I just go through and I delete them. But then the other day you were talking about it, so I opened the email.
Uh-oh.
And now I'm like, you know what? I might as well get it now.
Hey,
why wait?
If you act now, you get a free shower package. And I'm looking at those, you got those swim spas.
Yeah. It's like, I was wondering because Ricky was telling me the other day, she got in her car and she didn't turn on her phone or anything, but the GPS on the car automatically said, hey, you're 5 minutes from where you normally go, right? It just had said you're going there. So I was just wondering if like my email is just going, hey, look, dude, you're marching really quick towards a walk-in tub. Why don't you get started now? you know?
Like maybe it's connected to your wearable technology.
Yeah,
that senses
exactly.
your heart.
It's like your heart rate is crazy. Your
EKG results and that heart rate, you need a walk-in tub.
It screams walk-in tub.
AI is like one of the fifth, it's like ranked number 5, I think, in threats to our future humanity or something.
Well, I will say that that I was reading an article about Tesla, and it was saying that Tesla is really a data company, right? Not necessarily a car company. The next evolution in cars is self-driving, and that Tesla cars record all that information and keep that so they can figure out how people travel, what their driving patterns are, so they can create autonomous vehicles. So there you go, man. Any way you slice it, you're plugged into the machine, There's no getting out. There's no getting out of it at this point.
Yeah, I think we took the pill, right? What color?
Yeah.
I mean, the red.
It was either blue or red. I can't remember.
Blue or red. I'm not sure.
But whatever happened, I woke up and I was getting walk-in tub emails.
Hey, are you ready for a change? Are you ready for a curveball?
Yeah, let's throw it, man.
We are in episode 101.
We're in the next century of episodes.
The next century of episode. I don't know if you've caught on to this, but I'm a big fan of this program.
I'm tolerating it.
I listen to it from time to time.
Yeah, as do I. Yeah.
I think I always welcome the guest in by saying, "Hey, welcome to the richest man in town. How are you, brother?"
Yeah, I'm
saying, how about you welcome in our guest this week?
Hey, you know what?
And then people we just put the world on its ear, and people are like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's going on?"
Did Tyler just welcome in the guest?
Yeah,
yeah. I would.
Maybe we switch up and we redo our intro or something. I don't know. I mean, we're 101.
Crazy things are afoot at the richest men in town, and watch out, things are gonna happen. I'm excited about tonight, like I am with every episode, but we have Jonas Stotts joining us tonight, and Jonas is he's a friend of mine, and I think you're gonna enjoy getting to know him, Mike. He's a creative guy. I think I've shared some music that Jonas has written with you, I think, in the past, and I'm a fan of Jonas's talents and what he's capable of doing, and he's got a great story, and he's a good dude. So I'm excited about that. I mean, that's a good way to kick off 101, right? The next century of episodes.
Yeah, I actually think in the lead up to this, I mean, you were saying not just creative and talented, but brilliant, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guy
great with the music.
He writes. He's not just like a guitar player. He's a composer, right? Yeah. So he composes on all instruments. He plays all the instruments. He records them all. I got a guitar, man. I'm getting there. Hey, you and me both. You can kind of see one back here, and it's kind of dusty, maybe. So.
I have one because you have one. Your influence, man. So I was like, I want to be cool like Tyler. Tyler's always got one in the background.
You gotta have one in the background. But
when I'm late, I've noticed when I'm late jumping on the show call, you got the ukulele out.
I do. I have been playing a lot of ukulele, so I'm trying to get back on the guitar. So I can. Don't want to lose that, man. Don't want to lose it. So yeah, man, I'm excited about today. So, what do you say? Should we kick it in?
Yeah. So let's do this, right? But I don't want to throw off our feng shui thing going on or whatever. But I'm gonna let this guy in, and you're gonna welcome him, right?
Maybe so. We'll see what happens
into the new century of
the new century.
Richest man in town.
Yeah, it's crazy to think it's been 101 episodes. There we go. The man, the myth, the legend, Jonas Stotts. Welcome, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I view myself that way, but I love it.
No, that's okay. As long as someone on this screen views you that way, that's all that really matters, right?
So, and as long as someone on this screen does, then I'm halfway there.
That's it, man.
Well, hey, Jonas, you're already a legend in my mind, just having the conversations with Tyler about his experiences with you. So welcome to the show, man. Glad you could give us some time.
Yeah, man, I'm honored.
You are coming to us from Florida.
Yes.
Now, Jonas is a recent transplant to Florida. He's Florida by way of California and Utah, and ends up in the sunny state of Florida.
Like everybody else in Florida, right?
That's true.
Like,
That's probably true.
I don't think anybody's been born in Florida since 1965.
Now, Jonas, I gotta tell you, like in the Florida file right now, and this is just a recent thing. So I'm not saying that this happens all the time in Florida, but I recently heard a stand-up guy talking about how there was a guy that pulled into a drive-through at a Wendy's and tried to rob them, and his weapon of choice to rob the Wendy's was an alligator.
Oh, I like that.
No, I didn't hear that. But
He literally pulled up to a Wendy's and said, "Give me your money," and chucks an alligator into the window. And I was like, and I was kind of leaning towards, oh, Florida would be a nice place to visit. And then I saw that, I was like, maybe not.
Well, if you were sitting,
I haven't even. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you're sitting in the dining room of that Wendy's and there's that ruckus going on back behind, you'd be like, "What's happening back there?"
I could see that in some of the more rural parts of Florida, actually.
You know, you're
so funny.
Yeah. So you're loving it. You gave me good reviews on Florida.
Oh, I love it, man.
And you know, the thing is, even given the fact that sometimes alligators get thrown into drive-through windows, every person that I've talked to that is relocated to Florida is like rave reviews, man. Rave reviews.
Man.
So
yep.
Okay, so this episode is not brought to you by Wendy's franchisees in Florida or the Department of Tourism in Florida, because you know. And here's a disclaimer, right? Mike's views do not reflect
the participants
of everyone
yes.
on the show.
That's right.
Basically, it comes down to Jonas. I've always just wanted a disclaimer, so finally I got one. You are kicking off episode 101 of The Richest Men in Town.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, you are the beginning of the second century of episodes. So
I love it.
We're excited that you're here, man. I was telling Mike, in one of the things that there's a lot of things that I'm impressed with by Jonas, but I've always been jealous of Jonas's talents. He's a talented guy, and Jonas had the misfortune, I think, of playing with a band I was in for very briefly, right, Jonas? Very briefly.
Can I say the name?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
RFK, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. In fact,
rocket fuel is the key, baby. Oh, you got it right there. Oh, snap. Yeah, dude, I played bass for like 2 practices or something. Well, on an acoustic bass, I think, or something.
Okay, hold on. So was it a creative? Was it a creative conflict, or was it like you didn't have the vision that they had, or you just saw that maybe this wasn't going places?
I think
it was. I didn't have time.
Yeah,
honestly, back then I was just working a ton, and yeah,
and and let's be honest. I mean, there's sometimes you get the guy that shows up to the playground basketball, right, with the old guys, and he can hoop it up, and everybody else is sort of like puffing and puffing down the court. Well, you gotta you're walking away because you're like, hey, look, I'm gonna hurt somebody here.
Now, I don't think I was as good as I am back then. I think you guys were a little better than I was, honestly. I was still like beginning, and like all of us, man. I think we were all on the same level.
Yeah. Well, I think, in all honesty, Joan, I've shared your music with a lot of people, Mike included. I share your music a lot, and we would, we're happy to share that through our website as well. So.
Yeah. So are you ready for that? Right? Are you ready for from the outside? I'm watching and I'm like, man, what could have been with RFK if the band would have just stuck together? What could have been? But Jonas, are you ready? Are you ready for your career to blast off after we share your work on our amazing, rich social media platform of Facebook and Instagram, Richest Men in Town?
Yes.
The reality is that your downloads will increase tremendously in Tanzania.
Oh, man, Tanzania.
Because that's where
Tanzania.
That's where we are. We're huge in Tanzania.
Really?
Shout out to our Tanzanian listeners.
Oh, heck yeah.
That should be a T-shirt, right? Richest Men in Town podcast on the bags, like, we're huge in Tanzania.
Yes. I dig it.
Well, hey man, we're excited that you're here, and you know, obviously there's a lot that we kind of want to dive into, but you know, first of all, I got to ask you, because I think I've been barking at you, and you've been busy for a while. You know, you're a busy guy, but I've been asking you for a little while to come on the show. What? Let me know what goes through your mind when you hear that we want you to come on the podcast.
Excited, little terrified, honestly. Yeah, man.
Well,
have you done this podcast? Usually we reach out to folks and they're like, "Ooh, podcast, that's new, that's scary. I don't really have a lot going on. I'm out."
You mean, was I kind of like that?
Yeah. Were you feeling that? Or are you a podcast pro?
No, I'm not a podcast pro. No, I've never been on. Yeah, a little nervous. It's a new platform for sure. Yeah, it's brand new for me.
Well, we're gonna make it as painless as we possibly can.
Well, I have more time now than I did. I'm childless for a few months till my boys come in the summer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, let's start there. Talk to me a little bit about what does family look like?
Yeah, man. Okay, totally. I've got
kids,
two
ages. Yeah,
two amazing boys, 14 and 11.
Gosh, they're 14 and 11. That's crazy.
Both are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
ASD. My 11-year-old Brendan is considered level 3 autism. So, I mean, I don't like the word lower functioning, but that's the medical terminology. He would be on the lower functioning end of the spectrum, where Bradley, the 14-year-old, is on the higher end of the spectrum. He's fully verbal. Brendan has trouble speaking, needs assistance in almost all aspects of life. Bradley is more autonomous. He struggles socially, stuff like picking up on body language, staying on topic during conversations, especially non-preferred topics. He'll rattle on and on about, his preferred things for hours and hours, and, doesn't pick up that it's boring for someone else.
Right.
Just things like that. He's
sure.
a lot. He struggles socially, I guess, is the bottom line there. But, yeah.
Well, this is usually something, Jonas, that comes up later on in the show, but let's just break the template a little bit. What are you learning from your kids as you watch them grow up, and as you look at their unique needs, and what is that teaching you?
Quite a bit. And honestly, Brendan's diagnosis helped me get in the field that I'm in now. And I work with children with autism.
Oh, okay.
Because of him. So that's my career now. And let's see here, I kind of bypassed your question.
So is that work in behavior support in classrooms or in homes, or what does that look like?
In homes, yeah. I'm a behavior analyst, kind of like a behavior therapist for kids with autism. And actually here in Florida, some of my clients will be adults, like 20 to 40 years old.
Okay.
In adult group homes and stuff like that. So in those cases, I would write behavior support plans for the group home. And then the company I work for, our kind of like the entry level therapists that do the one-on-one hardcore work with the kiddos. Like, I write all the plans and supervise everything. And then you have a therapist that goes in and implements the plan in the home and in the group homes. So I just kind of oversee, write the behavior support plans for the therapist and parents, caregivers, to help modify the individual's behavior for the better, reduce unwanted behaviors and increase wanted behaviors to replace those behaviors that are equally as functional, but more appropriate for society. If that makes sense.
I think I need one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, I need one, man.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
And so all of that became a passion for you as these boys came into your life.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to go in the mental health field. Marriage and family therapy was my first master's degree that I almost completed. Then after Brendan's diagnosis, I switched to applied behavior analysis and went that route. But I knew I wanted to work with children, knowing that I could do that in ABA therapy. I was guaranteed to work with kids. That's one of the reasons I went that route. I don't have to deal with adults as much. I've got to deal with the parents, but honestly, I get along with children much better than adults, especially kids on the autism spectrum. They don't judge me. I can be as goofy as I want. I can let my manic side out and, they love me anyway. And that's the same with my children,
Yeah.
I think all parents feel this way at some time. Your kids hate you at some times.
Yeah.
But they love you because they're your dad. Yeah.
So what was it, Jonas, about seeing your kids and being around your boys that made you think, gosh, this is something that I want to do? Was it that you wanted to be able to help like you've seen them getting help, or was it, hey, there's something missing that I want to be able to touch on?
An aspect of both.
Okay.
Honestly. I saw Brennan progress immensely with ABA therapy. He used to bang his head a lot on the floor, on the wall. He would have, bumps on his head, and they were able to reduce that, get him signing at least, and then later eventually speaking. But
that's pretty amazing.
He has a vocabulary now of about 400, maybe 500 words.
Okay. He's
pretty prompt dependent on speaking, but he's fully capable of saying many, phrases and getting most of his needs met with his words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was your original question? I'm going all over the place.
No, that's it.
I'm a little nervous, and I'm just like,
no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Well, I think of the impact, right? I mean, I think all of us want to do something that's going to have an impact in you personally experiencing that. That's gonna line up well with. I mean, if you're already in that mental health field, that's a pretty that's a pretty powerful pivot you made.
What? Yeah, man. And to get back to your part of the question about myself, if that's okay.
Yeah.
How I think it was you, Tyler, asked how ABA, if I got into it for, my personal growth or whatever. Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah.
And absolutely. I've always felt I'm awkward. I'm an awkward person. I feel like I don't interact well with other people. And a lot of that, I think, is my own self-view that has to do with, all the various events in my life that have led up to who I am right now. But I've always wanted to know why I'm different than everybody else. And the feedback I get from most people is that I'm different. It's not a bad thing. I'm not like your typical average, person.
Yeah.
I'm an outlier, if you will. I always have a saying that there's no such thing as normal. Normalcy is it's very subjective. It really is. But when I've said that to a couple of mental health professionals, they're like, "Oh, absolutely right, but you're an outlier." And mental health professionals that are my friend, not my therapist.
Right.
So like other behavior analysts and therapists that I am friends with. People have expertise in the field, but are like, but it's a great thing. It sets me aside from other people, and I can use that as a benefit and as a strength.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like I read Todd Rose's book, End of Average, and that idea of like this normal, this average development, average intelligence. There is no average. Our talent profile is jagged. Our intelligence profile is jagged. What Tyler may be brilliant at, I may be rudimentary, right? But I think that it's difficult because sometimes when we go into these meetings and we go into these settings and people want to call our kids this or call our kids in this percentile or this, right? Yeah. This level of development. And it's like, let's talk about the whole picture.
Yeah.
Right?
And
let's
I'm
talk
not
about
category.
That profile.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm curious, Jonas, you said that you've always kind of been interested in what makes you different.
Yeah.
What is that? And what did that look like? I mean, when did that start becoming a thought for you? Like, why am I different? When did that start becoming a thought?
Probably 5 years.
Really? Okay.
6 years old. As soon as I started interacting with people, I knew that I didn't behave like most people my age, and I noticed, I don't know, I always felt like people treated me a little different than other people.
Okay. So as a young,
but that was my perspective.
Yeah. And so as a young kid, you felt that way, but then as you're getting older, that becomes a thought, like, why is that the case?
Yeah. And I always felt that way throughout high school. You know, I was always kind of the weird kid that stood out in his pink and orange flared bell bottoms, you know, that would flare myself. And, you know, and I kind of embraced that difference and rolled with it, you know, and it's worked for me. I've mellowed out a lot in my old age, but, you know. Well, I'm younger than you, Tyler.
Well, you are younger. Yeah, exactly.
Just a tad.
If you've mellowed out, dude, I'm half asleep over here. You know what I mean?
I thought my computer's plugged in. Hang on a sec.
Okay, no worries.
Die on me here. Oh, okay.
You got to fight that mellowing, man.
Yeah.
What?
You got to fight that mellowing out thing. Like that's a trap.
Resist. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm curious though, just going back to that thought.
Yeah.
Going back to that thought of, you know, kind of digging into what makes you different.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, I'm assuming at some point you're really starting to maybe dissect that a little bit more in depth than just having the thought like, hey, I'm different and I don't know why I'm different, right? Because I think we've all had that thought at some point in time, right? You know what I mean? Yes. Like we don't fit in wherever we're at. And I think we've all experienced that. I'm curious for you though, when you really start to dive into that a little more in depth, what's the hope that you're getting out of that process?
Okay, so I want to backtrack just a sec.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, I've started embracing more. I've always embraced the difference, but I've embraced it to the point where I am comfortable.
Okay.
Where up until then, I wasn't. I mean, I didn't like myself very much. I've struggled with self-image like a lot of people. You know, most of us do.
Sure.
Struggled with extreme depression and anxiety. To the point where I was hospitalized in the past. You know, I won't go into detail too much about that, but just, you know, I've had a lot of struggles with myself that way. And just in the last 5 years through therapy and just growing as a person, changes in my life for the better, you know, very wonderful and gorgeous wife and boys and, you know, beautiful family.
I love that, man. I love that, you know, Mike and I, before we get on the show, we're always kind of texting back and forth about different things that we're just thinking about. And one of the things that, you know, Mike was talking about momentum and kind of this idea of comebacks. And I kind of, you know, I was thinking about on my mind today. I was telling Mike, I've been thinking about just the idea of like courage to make changes, you know, and as you're looking at the changes in your career, and not only that, you know, you've got changes, right? You moving to Florida, you're recently married. How do you embrace all of that? That's a lot, man.
It is, man. One bite at a time, you know,
yeah.
One day at a time. It's all a blessing.
Yeah.
It's all a great blessing. Yeah.
Hold on. So I gotta dig into this because I was recently listening to something and it went something like this, right? A habit or a change idea that we want to introduce into our life needs to be established before we can develop it, right? And this guy was basically sharing that the first step of this change is to show up, right? Show up and introduce what you want to change into your life in some way, shape, or form, right? And Tyler, you've talked about you want to exercise and you just say, I'm going to go running for 10 minutes. And the 10 minutes turns into 15, turns into something, right? And before long, you've got a habit that you can tweak, that you can develop. Mm-hmm. And you know, Jonas, when you're talking about one bite at a time, one day at a time, those are the words that are kind of bouncing around in my head. What changes do I want to make? And how can I just introduce the concept of this change into my life in a small way and see where it goes, right?
Right. Like, where do I start and how do I shape it into something bigger?
Yeah. So when you talk about growing as a person and these changes, Are these things that you intentionally wanted to do, or were you disrupted into making some of these changes? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Most of them were changes that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
There were some disruptions along the way, obviously, but
welcome disruptions,
but
right?
A lot of it was planned, you know.
Yeah.
but
I do like the idea though of like, you know, because I mean, look, life is complicated anyway, right? And with all of the outside forces that we have in life that complicate life, and then we also have our own internal, you know, whether it's, you know, it's probably a mix of turmoil and voices and everything else that steer us and drive us. And I like how you said, you know, I finally got to the place where I'm embracing some of those things, right? And I'm okay with those things. And I you know, I'm curious about, you know, how that comes about. I think there's a lot of people listening that are like, hey, you know what? I want to make changes and I want to be good with who I am, and I don't know how to get there.
Okay. This popped in my head as you were saying that. Okay. Just bear with me for a sec. Let me.
We got hours, man.
Orchestrate this in my head.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So I've been able to take aspects of myself that I view as weaknesses and turn them into strengths. So, for example, I talk a lot. And I was talking about my son, Bradley, talking about his preferred topics for hours. I can do the same thing. I have ADHD, and I will hyperfixate on things that I love and things that I have little interest in, or, you know, mild interest, or just they're, you know, pretty much neutral. Leave. And they come and go. You know, I'll be talking, something distracts me and makes me think of, you know, ice cream. So I'll start talking about ice cream. That makes me think of, you know, ice cream melts and it's kind of like rain. So I start thinking about rain and, you know, whatever, it just bounces around. I've been able to utilize that hyper focus and my motivation to gain attention from other people into my job for the better.
Yeah.
I am able to hyper focus on the children that I work with. So when I'm talking to the parents, I'm hyper fixating on the treatment plan. I like to talk, so I roll with it and I talk to the parents, and I'm able to let that fuel my drive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so as all this is happening, what's going through my head is, okay, this was a weakness, something I hated that I do. I'm able to talk all I want about something I like, which is this client's growth. You know, this kid's tantrums going from 20 in a 2-hour period down to none.
Let's go
across 2 months.
Yeah.
And I'm able to just let all of that fuel, all that excitement fuel that. What was a weakness is now a strength. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't say that perfectly, but
no, it makes perfect sense. I love it.
Yeah. Let me piggyback and jump in there. I love the idea, because talk to me about the personal change that you feel in terms of your value and your worth when those differences that you used to probably, you know, bring some negativity or beat yourself up about turn into this superpower.
Oh, absolutely. The negative is mostly replaced by the, you know, I say mostly because obviously there's going to be a little bit of negative thoughts about that, because that's ingrained in who I am. All I can do is, you know, like we say, one bite at a time, I can slowly chip away at that, but a little piece of that's always going to be there, which is why I said mostly. But and I lost my train of thought.
I dig that, because Tyler, we talk about leaning in, right?
Yeah.
And we know ourselves. We get to a certain point. It's like, I got this thing. I got this thing and I'm different. And I think all of us have things. We've got quirks. We got idiosyncrasies. We got these things that make us different. But the idea of embracing that and not trying to hide it, not trying to, you know, but like, can I lean into this and let it sharpen me in some way?
Right. Exactly. And so instead of bringing me down, it lifts me up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's such a cool, it's a cool process, you know, and I think that, like you said, Mike, everybody's got something, that they're not, that they don't love. And to be able to find a way to, have that become a strength on some level. And I like what you said too, Jonas, where you said, I say mostly. I'm mostly, good with that, because there's still some of that in there. And there probably always will be, right? Because we're always...
And part of that's who I am, and that's not a bad thing.
Sure, 100%.
I can run with the negative too, because sometimes I need to feel bad, dude. I have to. I wouldn't be we wouldn't be people if we didn't need to feel bad. It serves a purpose.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need to feel bad.
Yeah. And and I like that, because I think maybe there's that. I think if we're looking at it on both sides, right? We see the good that it's bringing us, and we see the negative or the bad part of it. I think that we're taking an honest snapshot of who we are, right? And I think that's right. We don't want to be myopic, where we're just like, hey man, my stuff doesn't stink. I got this all figured out, right? And this just is what it is. But
I'm learning something here, Jonas, and I just want to. I'm gonna think out loud now. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
You just said something, and I'm wrestling with that, and I love it, but I need to chew on it a little bit. I need to feel bad, right? Like this idea of like when my body hurts, that pain is telling me, hey, something's amiss here, and you need to heal that thing. That I need to feel bad could be waking up that thing in me as an individual, as part of my personality, right? Like, hey, this thing is there. It's basically kind of saying, hey, deal with me.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And to go back to me talking a lot, the example I used earlier, oh shoot. Here's my.
That's all right. No, we're good.
I'm sorry, man.
No, I love it.
No, we're good.
Shoot.
So, okay. Yeah, I think to Mike's point, and if I can jump in on that part, I think that, right, the need to feel bad, I think it's an interesting, it's an interesting thought, right? Go ahead, Jonas, jump on it.
Okay. So for example, if I'm talking about guitars, and I've been talking about guitars for 10 minutes with you, right? Let's say you don't like guitars. I know you do, but let's say you don't like guitars. You're getting bored of the conversation, right? I now notice that I'm talking too much. I see on your face that you're bored. You might be sounding like this. I notice your body language, right? I'm like, oh, shoot, he's not having a good time. I feel bad that I've been talking too much. Therefore, I'm going to change my behavior so that I can maintain our friendship. Mm-hmm. That feeling bad serves a purpose of me keeping you as a friend, because I'm finding that balance between our dynamic and our relationship. I'm getting my needs met and I'm getting your needs met.
Yeah.
Those bad feelings help drive us towards something better as well, towards progression. We've got to have that bad, man.
Yeah.
We don't grow without it. We've got to have the.
And that's the dance, right? We don't want to live there.
It is, man.
We don't want to live there in the feel bad, but if the feel bad can push us and motivate us to make a change.
And that's the difference. That's the difference. Yeah. And I was living there for years, and I'm able to let it. I'm able to stop it and say like, hey, that serves the purpose. Boom. I'm going on for the better. But yeah, exactly what you said, Mike.
Okay. So I'm huge on this idea of comebacks right now. Right. And the idea of, and Tyler, we didn't get into this before Jonas jumped in, but I'm going to just jump in. It's a hokey example. It's probably the worst thing that I've ever said on 100 episodes of Richest Men in Town.
Man.
Are you ready?
Yeah, hold on. Let's mark this. Get ready. Here we go.
Okay.
The idea of comeback in my mind is WWF.
Oh, WWF, like Coco Beware, like WWF.
Hulk Hogan.
Okay. Hogan. Okay.
Right?
All right.
When the Hulkster would go down, right? And he'd go down, and like Andre's almost got him pinned or something, and he's down, and he's flailing around on the canvas, and Andre's like getting ready to go, and then the crowd gets into it, right? And he stands up and he like listens, right? And he does that, and you can almost feel his battery recharging. And then
I watched that on TV when I was a kid, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And then he proceeds to just whoop on him, and it's over, right?
Yes.
Like, I love the idea of like being in stages in our life when we're on the canvas and we're about to be tapped out, like we're about to be done, and we catch a little glimmer of something, right? And we're like, nah, I'm not done yet. Right. And then maybe we have some people in our corner and it's like, we get back up and it's like, no, I'm just getting started. Right. It's on. And it sounds like, Jonas, listen to your background a little bit. You talked a little bit about that, dealing with depression and anxiety, and that would be down on the canvas, right? In a spot where we're hitting bottom. And I think that we've all got to recognize that it sounds really hokey, but when we are at bottom, sometimes the only way out is up, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yep. It's easy. Yeah.
So looking back, and I don't want to dwell in bad times, but Jonas, you're going to be landing in people's ears, and we joke about Tanzania, but we do have people all over this world that are listening. Like, what do you say to somebody that's down right now?
I think you said it best, man. When you're that low, the only way you can go is up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
and I too, you know what? I like that idea, kind of going back to that idea of embracing the bad. You know, I mean, I won't speak for everyone, but I've been in places where I've felt terrible and I've let it I've wallowed in that for a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's not what I mean by that.
Yes, exactly. No, but I know exactly what you're saying. And I think that I like the idea, though, of kind of shifting that view of that bad and not letting it become this thing that just becomes this enveloping darkness. And it's sort of this maybe more of a launching pad to where how I can be better. Right. I mean, this
exactly.
serves a purpose.
How do you take that bad and kind of turn it into that good? Which is, you're not going to be thinking about that when you're extremely low. But.
Sure. Yeah.
So Jonas, is there any, we're big on hinge moments, right? These little things, these little moments in life, conversations, maybe we meet somebody that changes everything. Is there anything as you look at your bounce back and you look at where you're at in life now and the blessings that you're enjoying? Are there a few moments along the way that you can point to and say, man, let me tell you about this moment that changed everything?
Yes. My wonderful counterpart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does she tell me the story? No pressure to get it right, but you need to get it right because she's probably going to listen to this. So talk to me about it. What's her name?
Victoria.
Okay, so talk to me about Victoria. How does Victoria enter the picture, and how does she change things?
All right, we worked at the same company, which is how we met.
That's fishing off company pier, right? Is that allowed? I mean,
yeah,
it worked.
We worked in two different counties.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I worked in Salt Lake County, and she worked in Utah County.
Okay.
And so we didn't work in the same region. We initially did, but then I was transferred to Salt Lake County before we were even friends. So, and then after my divorce. And she was also divorced as well. We started hanging out, spending a lot of time together, and I fell in love, and she makes me want to be a better person. I don't know. She is wonderful with my boys. I am able to feel happiness with her in my life, with her and my family. I haven't felt happiness in a while, I think, for quite a while. And the past couple of years, I am overjoyed with where my life is going, man. For one of the first times in my life, I'm actually happy where my life is heading. Yeah. I can see the direction it's in, and I like it. I'm in a good career, wonderful family. The future looks good. I got my stress like everybody else, but just bought a nice house in Florida, and I don't know. I got a lot going for me right now, and it's good.
So
I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, you did. Yeah. You did. I'm a former Spanish teacher. I'm not a therapist here, right? But can we talk a little bit about that coming out of a divorce, and were there some walls that went up to kind of protect your heart, and how does that process of meeting Victoria and dating Victoria turn into the happiness that you're enjoying now?
Yeah. We can definitely discuss that. Some walls were up for sure. Let's see here. How do I discuss this? Let's see here.
Well, we don't want to go there.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. No, I do for sure. I'm just trying to think of how to go there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious too, because I think that I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like when we're hurt, right, on any level, we're immediately on guard, right? At least I'll just talk about my personal experiences, right? So like if I'm hurt, I'm on guard, right? I'm like, you're at arm's length, right? Yeah. And the fear is if I put down my guard, then the hurt can happen again. Sure. You know what I mean? So,
and I think you're fighting biology at that time, right? Your brain is doing that to you. Your brain's no, I need to protect you. That hurt.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again.
Yeah, we don't want that again. Yeah. But
I think what made that easier with Victoria is I knew her for a while before we became intimate, and was able to become friends with her, know what kind of person she is. I trusted her before I had complete trust in her before. So my guard wasn't easily, it was easily torn down.
Yeah.
Because of the trust that you had.
Because of the trust.
As a friend.
Oh man. Yeah. And she's a wonderful person. She is the sweetest woman I've met in my life. She's the kindest woman I've met in my life. Smartest woman. She's a bit younger than I am. She is more mature than I am. I'm emotionally 15. She's 25. She won't mind me saying her age on here. She's 20. So there's a little bit of an age gap here.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally and mentally 15. She's emotionally 35. So we balance each other out.
I think that's every
25-year-old.
Yeah.
I think
she's
that's
got a master's degree at 23. Got her bachelor's degree in about 3 years, I think, something like that. She's smart, driven, just everything I admire in a person. And I immediately, I fell in love as soon as we started hanging out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, hey,
after the divorce there, yeah.
Now we can relate to this guy even more, right? Because I think that emotional maturity and age equivalency is about right with me and Kelly. I know.
Yeah,
I'm about 17. Yeah. She's probably.
Hey, you're older than me. I'm 15. Or 14, whatever I said.
I dig it. I love it.
No, I like that. I like that too. And I mean, obviously that's what we're looking for, right? In life is that that person that looks at us and can see the things that we struggle with, but see past them and see the good that is in us, Yep. And I think that's what we're all looking for.
Absolutely.
So Jonas, I'm passionate about kids as well, lifelong educator. And I just, when I hear you talking about growing up different, man, my heart goes out to you for getting through that. Right. I mean, childhood being different when as a kid, all you want is to blend in, right? All you want is to not be the nail that sticks up, because the nail that sticks up gets whacked. Yeah. How did those childhood experiences strengthen you in the long run? Probably wasn't fun. One of the questions we ask is naming, something that you learned in life the hard way. I can imagine growing up different was hard.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I grew up under different circumstances, which is why I think I'm very different. My family is a very interesting family. My parents are interesting people. My father was one of the strangest people probably that I've ever met in my life. The most different person that I've ever met in my life. Not always good. I've got some fond memories of my father. I've got some very not so fond memories, of my father and my childhood.
Do you ever think back and just think, how did I get through that?
Yeah.
The resilience that you found, where does that come from?
Honestly, I don't know. Somewhere within, but I don't know. And it's things like that and those reflections that honestly lead me to believe in some kind of higher power, something that's greater than myself, because I don't think I got through that on my own. There's no way I could have, man. There was a lot, and there's a lot that I'm not talking about that I experienced as a child, a lot of trauma that I won't go into, but there's a lot of negative experiences that have helped shape me for who I am. And now as an adult, where I am looking back, I'm grateful for all of those experiences. I'm able to look back and tell my father, who has passed about 5 years ago, but I'm able to tell him in my thoughts, and if he were alive, I would tell him that I am grateful. And I did before he passed. I was able to tell him that I'm grateful for the way I grew up and for how unique he was as an individual, even for the bad experiences with him that I went through. I'm able to look back and be grateful for those. I wouldn't be in my career. I wouldn't have my beautiful children if it wasn't for those. I wouldn't be strong.
Dude, that's an amazing, right? That I always feel like that's kind of a miraculous thing. Like, we go through things that are terrible, right, on the surface, right? We experience these things and they shape us, and I think when we're in the middle of them, we're like, man, this thing is, I don't want to be here. I wish I wasn't experiencing this. I wouldn't wish this on anyone else. But then to march down the road a piece and then look back and go, yeah, I'm grateful for those experiences. I just find that to be kind of miraculous and interesting, right? Because I think we've all done that. We've all been in that spot where we've gone, yeah, this thing that happened to me was awful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but man, I'm glad that happened in hindsight, because it made me able to do A, B, or C, right?
Years of therapy, man. I honestly wouldn't be here today if it wasn't years of therapy. Have you heard of EMDR therapy?
I have not, no.
Eye movement desensitization and reprogramming, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me, but it's pretty close to what it is. The whole goal is to let bilateral stimulation help reprogram the way you think and the way you relate memories to emotions. So with post-traumatic stress disorder, for example, your memory gets paired with an emotion, right?
Yeah.
So what you experience is paired with that strong, very powerful emotion that occurred during that experience. And then when certain things in your life trigger those memories to come up, you relive the emotion. And so it's like you're reliving that past. The goal of EMDR is to separate the feeling from the memory. Once you can separate that, you look at the past objectively. You see it for what it is. You break the emotion from it, and I'd say, oh, okay, I no longer am viewing this from the perspective of a 6-year-old scared child. I'm viewing it as a 42-year-old man looking back on that 6-year-old child. You know what I mean? You're removing the child from the situation.
Yeah.
Where with the trauma, the child is there, driving the adult's point of view, the adult's feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
You're able to separate that and break the child, in childhood trauma, obviously.
Sure.
You're able to take the child out of the situation, let the adult drive the bus for a bit, look back on the child, see the child in the back of the bus. If that makes any sense.
No, I'm telling you.
It's in our head, somebody's always driving the bus. There's different parts of our personality, our emotions, our whatever. Somebody's always driving the bus, and you're able to decide who's driving the bus. That's what I got out of therapy. And that's
I love that.
how I was able to heal and move on from the trauma in the past.
Yeah.
To me, that if there are people that are listening to me right now that can do what you just explained to help people, superheroes, right? That is a superpower to be able to unlock that welding, right? Because the brain is connecting the memory with the trauma, and they're together, and there's triggers, and there's all kinds of things that are related. I mean, the impact on trauma is astounding, right? But I mean, there are therapeutic resources and tools and superpowers out there to get people the help that they need. And I think a lot of times it turns into, I'm gonna bury it, I'm gonna hide it, I'm gonna self-medicate it, I'm gonna do some things to hide that pain. Or I'm going to lash out and I'm going to be out of control in my own personal life. And I think, man, Tyler, we're talking all the time. Everybody needs everybody needs help. Everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. And I just appreciate that vantage point. I just want to say too, you mentioned this resiliency and this leads you to believe in that higher power. I just got to tell you too, there's something inside you, right? Yeah, there's a higher power at work, but you're born in with something, right? It was something inside of you as an identity to be able to have that resilience, right? To be able to say, I'm tougher than this. I'm tougher than these circumstances. And there's something more about me than right now.
Exactly. And I think recognizing that point and giving myself credit for that, it is my next step, in my growth. Yeah. And I do give myself credit a lot, but not as much as I deserve. And you make a great point there, Mike. I think we do need to give ourselves more credit for the growth, or give ourselves credit for our growth.
Oh man!
Even though there is a higher power helping us, whatever we believe.
Right.
There's
give myself credit is an amazing statement, right? We don't do that enough.
Exactly.
Man,
don't do it enough.
Yeah.
Well, hey, before we move on from that, is there anybody looking back on your journey? Is there anybody that you would like to honor that helped you get to where you are? I mean, you've mentioned Victoria, and we got that. Anybody else?
My mom, for sure.
Talk to me about your mom.
Very loving. My mom is one of the most loving people that I've met. My kindness comes from her. My love for humanity comes from her. My desire to help those in need comes from her. To, give someone a jacket that doesn't have a jacket comes from her.
Did it come from her words or her actions?
Her actions and words. But her actions for sure. And my father's actions, but not his words. Some of my father's actions and some of his words, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of run a filter.
I got some good from him for sure. Yeah.
Sure,
but a lot of that did come from my mom.
Yeah.
And a shout out to my third grade teacher, Mrs. Kapranopoulos.
Kapranopoulos, man. That's a great name.
Capital Kapranopoulos.
Oh man, I love that.
I still remember that.
That is awesome.
Tell me about her.
I learned a love for words and writing stories, which is I was able to turn into writing lyrics and writing stories in my songs. And I contribute that to her.
Dude, that's a cool connection right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a very cool connection. Man.
Her teaching me, her helping me improve my writing skills. I mean, this is like third grade, so my writing skills weren't that great. I found some of my stories the other day, Victoria and I were reading through, and they're hilarious. But for a third grader, they're not too bad.
Yeah.
But I was able to self-analyze my writing. Like she helped me to critique myself and make things better. And kind of spark that inner perfectionist in me, because I'm a hardcore perfectionist. Hardcore.
But I love the connection that you make between kind of that early interaction with your third grade teacher to you writing music. I think that's a cool connection that, I write lyrics and that's kind of in the back of my head. Some of these things that my third grade teacher said. That's super cool. I love
that. You can go back and you can kind of put your finger on a genesis of when that love entered your life, right?
Yeah. Third grade. Yeah, that's one of those, what do you call it? Kind of a flashbulb memory, if you will.
Yeah.
Like I can see myself in the classroom, man. I'm there. It's like, it's very clear as day. And that's always been with me. That memory has never left me. It's one of those strange things that I cannot explain. I don't know why her, I don't know why that, I don't know. Third grade, dude. That was a long time ago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I think that's a cool segue. Let's get into this creativity side of you, okay?
Okay. Cool.
Okay, coming from probably the least creative person you will ever meet in your life. In fact, I wrestle with it sometimes, and we've had this argument before. Who appreciates the artist? Somebody who's tried it and knows how hard it is, or somebody that looks at that as freaking magic and there's no way that's even possible, right? I think you know where I stand, but talk to me about where this creativity comes from. Where does the love for music? We get the love for words and lyrics. How does it turn into this art that you love?
Yeah, man. Okay, my love for music started with my mom. She taught us, me and my sisters. I have a very large family. I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers. So there's 8 of us children. There were 7 of us growing up. She taught us all how to read music at a very young age. And my grandpa, not grandpa, but a guy we called grandpa. I think everybody's got.
Everyone's got someone like that.
When they're a kid. Yeah, exactly. Right. Grandpa Ralph. So Grandpa Ralph gave me a clarinet and like this brass, beautiful clarinet that he played in the military. And I was obsessed with it from the time I was probably 4 or 5 when I saw it. And she taught us how to read music and play the piano. So I started band in 5th grade playing the clarinet. Before I got into band, I was able to teach myself how to read music as it pertains to the clarinet. Before I started band.
Taught yourself.
Just with the knowledge of reading music that my mom gave me with the piano and a clarinet book that she bought me to go with the clarinet. So I went through the book. I let the book teach me, I guess. So I didn't really teach myself, but I was able to dive into that and get a head start before. What I'm basically saying is I immediately had a passion for music from the get-go, as soon as I was introduced to music. I remember just being moved by music that I would hear at a very young age, from as early as I can remember, being just emotions just coursing through my body because of the music and just feeling life. And I've always felt that way with music.
Can you give me an example? Like, you talked about that 3rd grade class and remembering a teacher. Yeah. Do you remember growing up in a particular piece of
Beach Boys?
Beach Boys, dude. Pet Sounds.
Oh yeah.
The album Pet Sounds, man, changed my life.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How old were you when you heard Pet Sounds for the first time?
Let's see here. I lived in Arizona. I had to be, I think I was 10 or 11.
That's so
my
rad.
Mom bought me the cassette at a what was it? Yes, at a car dealer, dude. So when you're checking out of the car, and this was like 1980, probably 1989.
Okay.
Maybe. And so in the lobby, they sold cassette tapes at a car lot. I mean,
you got to have some music to put into your new ride, man.
That makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
That's probably what it was, exactly. And I asked her to buy me Pet Sounds, and she did. And I listened to the heck of it on my Discman and whatever.
That is cool.
And that was the only rock and roll I was allowed to listen to as a child. And that's all I knew is rock and roll until I discovered, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and all the beautiful 90s grunge that further changed my life as a teenager. But
I just dig how quickly you were able to go to that, because I know when your life is music, or you're into it, it's hard to drill down and be like, man, this is my favorite, or this thing moved me. But man, you went there so quick.
Yeah.
Like almost like I'm replaying the movie and I'm in the car lot and my mom buys the cassette and my life is different.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love it.
And I remember hearing Frank Sinatra and being completely moved. Perry Como, AM radio that my dad would listen to, and I was glued to it. I was right there by the radio just listening. We had a record player. I would spend hours playing Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, I don't know, Harry Mancini, all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So where
love it.
We talked about this, we talked about this higher power, and we talked about, I shared, that it's something inside you. Have you ever reflected on why music? Where does this come from? Because you're lit up just talking about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought what is it about it? Or, is that just a gift that maybe, I acknowledge that I think we come hardwired with gifts and talents and strengths and weaknesses and differences, right? And that's what makes us amazing. But man, what is it about music that does this to you?
That's a hard question right there.
Yeah,
man.
it is.
That's a hard question.
Well, ask it. I love me some music, and I light up with some things too. But I'm watching you, and I'm seeing Jonas. I'm thinking you're born to You're born to play music. I mean, some people look at the clarinet and they think, okay, this part, this piece. Some people look at the piano and like, okay, white keys, black keys, some foot pedals. And some people just look at it and get it. All of
it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel it, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I do.
I think
that's a mystery of the soul, right?
It's built in me. Music does come naturally for me. But
so what's the evolution then from clarinet? Because I mean, look, and I'm going to say it again. I'm a huge Jonas fan when it comes to your music.
I bet you can crush some hot cross buns.
Hey, you know what? My nephew was in town a few months ago. He played me some hot cross buns on his clarinet.
Okay, so I played. Let's see here. 6th grade, I switched to bass clarinet. The big old sucker that sits on the floor, and I played that all throughout high school.
No way.
Okay. Competitions and was in choir and did choir competitions. Went down to San Diego for band competitions. I remember, junior year, going to SeaWorld.
Oh, no way.
We're on a band trip, on a charter bus from Reading to San Diego.
Those band trips are wild.
Oh yeah, dude. It was off the hizzles. It was off the bus, but those band geeks though, man, they know how to party.
They do.
They're us band geeks. I'm included in that because I am still a band geek. But yeah, okay. So I went on a LDS mission, and I was not allowed to bring my instrument with me, and so I lost my embouchure. With the embouchure is the mouth, the way the mouthpiece fits and your mouth molds to it. I lost that, and it was really frustrating trying to pick it back up when I came back off my mission. I essentially kind of gave up on the clarinet. I took a guitar class at Rick's College. The last year it was Rick's College.
Dude,
I was there during the transition, man.
Old school.
2001. Yeah.
I love it.
BYU. My first semester is Rick's. My second last semester there, it was BYU, Idaho. Took a guitar class twice. I took the same class each semester because I loved it so much, and just rolled with it from there. On my Yamaha nylon string, $100 JCPenney guitar.
Yeah.
And do you remember? Am I allowed to say people's names on here?
Oh yeah, come on.
Drop them.
Mo Crummett, you know Mo?
Oh yes, Mo played for us, dude.
Yes, Mo's awesome, dude. I love Mo. So I hung out with Mo and Spencer. Mo and Spencer hung out for a bit, and I hung out with them after my mission for quite a while. And Mo was. He had, I think it was Cakewalk or something like that. He would record his his acoustic stuff on his computer.
Yep.
So I went to Circuit City. I bought a copy of Cakewalk for $50 and put it on my computer with my I got this desktop mic here. That first one was a little tiny, little bud.
Oh yeah.
Talking mic, for your PC or whatever.
Yeah.
And I recorded, you remember Bottom of the Hill? I think it was the first song I ever wrote. Or The Ashes.
Yeah.
Those were recorded with that crappy mic, or the first drafts were. As I learned the software, started making money, in my job, whatever, as a janitor that I did back then. I slowly started buying nice mics and better guitars, and knew what I was doing a little more, and was able to make better drafts of my music. But that's kind of how it all developed out of that. And so Mo kind of helped me steer me in the right direction of recording my own stuff and how to do it, because I wanted to. I just didn't know how I was able to.
Yeah,
Cakewalk. So I got.
I love the word you used. I love the word you used with evolution, because that's like, I'm going to jump in here. I love it. I love music. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go to Circuit City.
I love it.
I'm going to figure this thing out. I mean, I think that here's the thing. When you're in that flow, when you're doing the thing that you're meant to be doing, no one has to tell you to do it. Right. Yeah. It's like the fire's lit, and there's that. I get a glimpse of my potential.
Yeah. People got to tell me not to do it because I'm doing it too much.
Yeah.
But there's something there's something to, and Jonas knows this way more than I do. I can maybe recognize this on a very small level, but there's something to creating music, right? And you kind of you've got these ideas and you put them down on tracks and they come together and you're like, oh my gosh, and
they didn't exist before you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. That's what I love about writing music. I'm able to create something from within me.
Yeah.
That's part of me. That song came from within, man. It's my emotions, my feelings, my experiences, my memories, everything about me is pouring out of me, man. It's pouring out in the music.
And
in
it's
my
recorded,
lyrics,
it's recorded forever.
Yeah.
It's recorded forever, and it's embodied, man. It's materialized in front of me, that piece of me. And that's what I love about creating music. It's that part of me that I can see and that I can share with people. It's beyond words. It's beyond words. Music is beyond words.
And it's great because if you think like, and Mike, I know you can relate to this, but you think it's like you think of moments in your life, like if I hear a song, I'm immediately transferred back to where I was. The emotions are there, the feelings, right? Like it's all there. And
like With or Without You, man. The first time I heard With or Without You by U2. Or the whole Joshua Tree album, one of my favorite albums of all time. Absolutely. I listened to that album freshman year high school in Mr. Henry's history class. He would let us listen to music on Fridays, man. He played that album and I fell in love. I'm like, who the heck is this? I didn't really listen to the radio that much, and I had never heard of U2. Yeah. And they instantly become one of my favorite bands. That's with awesome. The Joshua Tree being up at the top, Octung Baby being second, and so on. And just up there in my catalog of favorites.
It's actually hard for me to beat. U2 One is one of my favorite songs. Like
One is a great song from Octung Baby. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
Mr. Henry, hold on, like Mr. Henry Foothill High School.
Yep. Did you go to Foothill?
I taught at Foothill.
What? No kidding.
Yeah, way back. Anyways.
Yeah, my younger siblings graduated from there as well.
Nice.
That's crazy. So, Mr. Freeman.
Shout out to Mo Crummett for launching Jonas into the stratosphere of music creation.
And Mo gave me a love for Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden.
You got to have Iron Maiden in your library. Hey, and I will say that our intro track for Richest Man in Town, the bass player on that track is Mo Crummett.
Yes!
So there you go. There you go. It's full circle, man. It's all coming together.
Yes.
And in fact, the rhythm guitar on that is Spencer.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got the whole crew, man.
Yes, that's great. Yes.
That is too funny.
I love it because the track is called Unnamed.
It's called Unnamed. That was
great.
Yep.
That's classic punk right there. That's it. It's not punk, but it's
yeah, that's right. That's classic, man.
Love it. So,
Tyler, when I think of you, I think of punk. I just had to throw that out there.
All right.
You are punk to me because I knew you as a teenager.
Yeah.
And you embodied the punk culture.
Well, I
love it. I think you still do in a way, man. And I think it's great.
I appreciate that. I'll take that as a huge compliment, man.
You instilled the love for punk in me. Saves the day.
Oh yeah.
Not really punk, but whatever.
Yeah.
Post-punk emo.
Absolutely. Kind of pop punk, post-punk. Yeah.
Pop punk. Yes. Yeah. Under the Boards. One of my favorite albums. I love
Absolutely.
It.
I agree.
All right, so Jonas,
you introduced that album to me, and it's one of my faves.
I love that, man.
Yep.
We lost your sound, Mike.
Oh.
Say test.
You there? Hello?
You're back. Yep.
Okay. So Jonas, what are you listening to right now? What are you listening to today?
These days I always listen to Tool. They're one of my favorite bands for the last, I don't know, probably 8-9 years. I've been listening to a lot of Ghost. Have you guys?
I haven't heard Ghost.
They're a heavy metal band. They got some really good songs out there. Listen to a lot of Volbeat and a lot of heavy metal for some reason. I don't know.
So where can people that are listening to this podcast find your work?
I don't know.
Well, we'll grab it and we'll put it in the show notes and make it available.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got a
please.
bunch. Yeah, I've got a lot of your songs. We'll put links on there. Yeah.
There's some on YouTube, I know, but it's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's like way buried in there. I can't even find it sometimes.
I've been telling Jonas for years, man, he needs to record this music and put it out, man, because it's good.
Dude, I'm getting my studio set up here and I'm going to start recording this weekend.
I love it, man.
This weekend, and my brother Perry and I are going to start working on some stuff together.
Oh, cool, man.
He's laying down some guitar tracks as we speak that I can go off of this weekend and kind of build off of.
So let me ask you, you said you're listening to some heavy metal right now. What's the music that you listen to? Does it change with where you're at, or?
Yeah, it changes for sure. Some heavy metal. I've been listening to a lot of, on Alexa, I'll just have her play classic hits, which is a lot of Eagles, which I dig. I love. Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac. Mac. Billy Joel, one of my all-time favorite artists. I've been listening to him a lot as well. What was that? We Didn't Start the Fire. I was rocking out to earlier today.
It's funny because I have multiple Spotify playlists, right? That just depends on what I want, what my mood is.
Yeah.
But I have this. And I have like a list that's just songs that I click like on, right? And it's so wild, man. Like I'll listen to it. I've got like the Drifters. I've got like, Yeah, and then I've got like Willie Nelson. I've got like Merle Haggard. Rock, right? I love. I absolutely Merle Haggard. Then I got a bunch of punk in there, Rancid and Op Ivy, and all these guys. But yeah, I think that I just love the idea that music puts you in a place, and and it's funny because you talk about the memories that you have with music, and I think we all can relate to this. I remember going on drives as a family, and we'd take these little road trip drives, and my dad would have music on, and that, to me, like when I'm in the car, that's what I want. Like my kids get in the car, I'm like, music is on. It's not time to chit chat. We're gonna listen to some tunes.
My kid has a Spotify playlist called Dad's Aux Chord.
Yes.
Like when Dad is playing the aux chord, when Dad controls the aux chord, this is what he plays.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Well, and the cool thing is
a lot of Dave Matthews, a lot of Black Crowes these days.
I love it, man. And the thing is, like, that's the thing, like with music, right? Because then Abe connects those, down the road, he'll be talking about, these are the things that remind me of my dad. And
exactly.
It's kind of a cool thing. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, he's got
John Denver for me with my dad.
Oh yeah.
He's got a girl that invited him to a country artist concert, and so now when I get in the car with him, it's all country.
Hey, that's okay.
He's trying to catch up.
I like some country. Oh, dude! Yesterday, Victoria and I were listening to Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
The Apple his greatest hits playlist, Apple Essentials or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you,
don't take the girl.
Don't take the girl.
Come on, get your tissue. Get your tissue. Come on.
Ricky and I. Well, hey, I got to tell you, Ricky and I, in the past year, we've been to Willie Nelson and Garth Brooks.
Yes. Oh.
Right.
Garth Brooks is on my bucket list. I've never seen him.
It was great.
I've never seen Willie either, but that would be great.
It was a great show. And Garth was great. I've never really listened to Garth. A friend of mine had tickets. Shout out to Ashton Buswell. And it was a great show. So.
Best concert you've ever been to, Tyler?
Oh my gosh. That's hard, man.
Oh, that's easy for me, dude.
Is it really? So
do it.
I can tell you, like, one of my favorite concerts, I was like 16 years old at the Hollywood Palladium. I saw Rancid for the first time when their first album was released. And then in Santa Cruz, I saw Green Day in a little tiny club before they were anything for like $10, and there was like maybe 30 people in there, right? So
yeah, that's Victoria's favorite band. She'd be very jealous. She's
really?
Like 3 times. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic, man. Yeah,
dude. Yep.
But any of those old school punk bands, those bring back memories like crazy for me.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I saw the Dwarfs a couple years ago.
For me, I gotta go. Cal Expo, Steve Miller Band.
Oh, yeah.
It probably was like 1993, and then a couple years ago, took the kids and went and saw Coldplay.
Oh, yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be a good show.
That was an incredible show.
What about you, Jonas? Favorite concert?
Muse, hands down, man.
Oh.
Best show I've ever seen. Best live performance I have ever seen.
Love that, dude.
Yes, it sounded better than the album. I'm not kidding, man. His voice was spot on. The guitars were. It was, and you can tell it's not a playback. It's them, dude. Oh,
isn't it great when you go to a show? I've gone to shows and you're like, wait, what happened here? Like,
Rob Zombie was one of those, man. Rob Zombie puts on a great show. Yes, Billy Joel though. That was Billy Joel at Vivint in Utah, in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
that was a great show. A few years back, I think it was 4 years ago, something like that.
4 years ago, I saw Superchunk, one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. And at that show, I ran into a person that I haven't seen for probably 15 years at the show. And we hung out the show together. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's cool, dude.
So,
that's cool.
So anyway.
Hey, so Jonas, as you sit back and think about your life, can you paint for me a picture of a time, maybe a memory, where you in the moment felt truly rich? Where you're looking around, looking around at what you're doing, you're looking around at who you're hanging out with.
My wedding to Victoria at the Salt Flats in West Windover, Utah.
Oh, no way.
Not quite to Nevada yet. Yeah, right there, outside of the rest stop. Have you been to the Salt Flats in West Windover, Tyler?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have, Mike?
Yep.
Yeah. That's where we got married, for the beautiful photography. On the never-ending sand with the mountains behind it.
Oh yeah, there's only one place on the planet you can take that picture.
Yeah, man. Yep, we hired an awesome photographer and got some amazing pics out there. And there with my family, Victoria's family, which her family is, she's an only child. So it's just her and her parents, and then my huge, 30 people, including my, nephews and nieces and all my siblings and all that. It's probably more like 40 people, but whatever.
Yeah.
Looking around there, man, I felt extremely rich, blessed that someone as wonderful and great as Victoria was committing to me. I mean, what did I do to deserve this wonderful human being to choose me as a partner? I felt completely humbled and completely rich, overjoyed with joy. And that was my, if I could stay in that moment forever, that would be my heaven.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Oh, actually, I think
it is, man, because she's in my life and my kids are here with me. They will be. My kids are in my life. I've got my family is with me. So that's.
Yeah, I think I got to change the question now, Tyler, moving forward.
Yeah.
Where he's like, where Jonas just ended that was saying, if I could stay in that moment.
Forever.
Forever, right? I mean, that's a powerful image.
Yeah.
With this rich moment, give me a moment when you could look at that and say, man, if I could just stay in that moment forever. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Cool picture. Yep. I dig it. In my mind, I can see it. And I know now too what Victoria means to you when you said, I feel happiness and joy again. You can hold that in your life again. And you don't know. We take these things for granted.
Yeah. She really sparked.
Sometimes we walk with unhappiness and we think, am I ever going to be happy again?
Yeah. Is that fire ever going to come back?
Yeah. Is that fire ever going to come back?
Yeah.
And it's so cool that it's the stars aligned and Victoria came into your life, and that's awesome.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, I can tell you, Jonas, this has been super fun for me. I mean, and I know Mike, we've been excited about this moment to have you on the show, and we've been talking about it for a while, and I'm glad that kind of the stars aligned. We were able to make it happen. But
I'm excited to be here. This is fantastic. I'm enjoying it. I'm nervous as heck, but I'm sure it shows a bit.
Man. I'm about to step out and let you and Tyler just rip on some fun.
The cool thing is, and Mike and I, we've always thought like, the thing that makes life special is the people that come in and out of our lives, right? And And I'm grateful to have known you for as long as I've known you, and to be able to get to know your talents. And I'm grateful that you've been able to get to know Mike, because right here, these are some important people, and I think it's good that you guys are connected. The whole premise of this show, Jonas, is about, it's all based on George Bailey, right? From It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but
long time ago.
Okay, a long time ago. Well, there's a great scene at the end of the movie, and George has been through some hard things, and
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. His brother comes in after some of the chaos that's been going on in his life, and he raises his glass and he says, "To my big brother George, the richest man in town." Mike and I love that moment because George was the furthest thing from rich, right? As far as the things of the world are concerned, but he had some things in his life that made him a rich person. Kind of like your answer there with being with Victoria. But we ask every one of our guests, Jonas, the same question at the end of the show, at the end of our time together. And we offer that same question to you. What does it mean to you, Jonas, to be considered the richest man in town?
My family, my wife and kids, mainly, and then of course, my siblings and my parents, but mainly my wife and kids make me rich.
Yeah. Well, I can tell the passion you have for music, and the passion you have for your kids, and the passion you have for your
music
for
sure makes me rich as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but those things are special, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love it, man. It's been fun. It's been a ton of fun.
Thank you. It's been an honor, Mike. It's great talking with you, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Friend of Tyler's, friend of mine, and I it's funny because in this virtual space we think, man, how could I jump into a Zoom and hang out with a guy and walk away just loving him and ready to go to war with them? But man, I'm there, and
wow.
you've taught me a ton in the time that we've had, and I'm envious a little bit. I'm envious of that creative spirit, and I think that I just need to tell myself I don't necessarily need to be able to jump in on a punk rock band to be creative, right? What does that spirit of creativity look like in my life? But I feel it from you. Like if my hands were cold, I could just reach out in this Zoom space and feel the heat coming off as you talk about these things that you're passionate about. And I also love the fact that you took that thing, right? You took that thing that maybe was, like you said, was a weakness, and you turned it into something, not only a strength for you personally, but you're using it to change other people, right? Mm-hmm. You're using it on a daily basis to have impact with kids, impact with families. And you're in that flow, you're in that sweet spot, right? And I just keep going, man. Keep going with the wind at your back, and take that pride of yours. And I love what you were saying about, I love where my life is heading, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah,
man. Thank you, Mike. I'm really touched with what you have to say there. Seriously. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike.
Well, you keep going. We're not done, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonas, it's been fun, man. We appreciate you. We love you, and then we'll do this again soon, man.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.